This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about the trigger bulkification and the various trigger context variables like the trigger.old, trigger.new, trigger.oldmap, and the trigger.new. And we have discussed the various ways to create the triggers inside your Apex programming, and we did some practical example also in the last session. Let's see few more practical examples on these triggers. Let's take a scenario. Let me explain a small use case. For example, I have a lead object. I have a lead object. In this lead object, I'm having so many fields are available, like the first name field, last name field, company, title, lead source, industry, annual revenue, phone number, fax number, email ID, website, status, rating, like that. So many fields are available. Now, whenever we are creating a new lead record, only three fields are mandatory. Okay, as part of this lead object, only three fields are mandatory. That is last name and the company and the lead status. These are the three fields are mandatory as part of this lead object. Upon creating the lead record or upon updating the lead record, these three fields should have some values. Remaining are optional. You may enter, you may not enter. It's optional. It's your choice. For example, I'm creating a lead. First name I'm indicating like as some Praveen, last name some Praveen Kumar. Company I'm indicating like as some process. Lead status I'm indicating open not contact. Click on save. Now my lead record has been created successfully. So only these three fields are mandatory, remaining all are optional. But now my requirement is whenever I'm going to be creating the lead record, if I'm selecting this industry value as some banking, then I want to populate the annual revenue automatically. Because as part of my business, depends upon the industry, there is a fixed annual revenues available. Okay, there is a fixed annual revenues available, which I would like to populate. Now, whenever we are creating the lead record inside the lead object, depends upon that industry need, I would like to populate that annual revenue automatically. So I want to assign the annual revenue automatically. Then how can we do that? Now let's see practically this case. Let me take the use case. Create a trigger on lead object to auto populate the annual revenue based on the industry name as given. Based on the industry name which was selected, I would like to automatically populate that annual revenue value. I want to assign the annual revenue automatically. Now, let's see. For which industry, how much annual revenue value would like to assign? I want to know. Industry name, annual revenue. Now, industry. Suppose if it is a banking, I want to assign the annual revenue value as some 90 lakhs. If it is some finance, If the lead record is of type the industry finance, I would like to assign 76 lakhs. If it is some insurance, I want to assign the value 45 lakhs. If it is some manufacturing, I want to assign the value. I want to assign the value some 84 lakhs. If it is some education, I want to assign some 74 lakhs. If it is some consulting, I'm assigning some 32 lakhs. If it is some energy, I want to assign some 94 lakhs. These are the annual revenue values I would like to assign. So whenever you are creating the lead record or in future if you are updating the whenever you are creating the lead record or in future if you are updating the lead records also, then every time I would like to find out that industry value based on that industry name, I would like to assign the annual revenue value inside this. So upon creating the lead record or upon updating the lead record, so whatever the industry name that we are selecting based on the industry, the respective annual revenue, I would like to populate automatically. Then how can we do this? Now let's see practically in this case. Now tell me your analysis. So what is the object name on which we need to create the trigger? Now,
Lead object.
Lead object. Now, I need to create the trigger on the lead object. What exactly the event name and what event I would like to find my trigger. I'm creating the trigger on the lead object and then I would like to find that lead trigger on which events. Before insert or after insert? When you insert? After insert?
Yeah.
Can't be firing before insert?
Before
and before update, sir.
Right. So before insert and before update. That means before inserting the record, I would like to stop the record first. Why? Because in the previous session already we have discussed. Whenever we are verifying the trigger execution process, so when you try to insert the records inside that object, records will not be acceptable inside the object directly. Records are going to be placing inside this particular context variable that is called as trigger.new. So once the records are available here, I would like to apply my business logic over here. Then here I would like to verify what is the industry name. If the industry is banking, then assign that annual revenue value. So records are available with me in my hand. So I would like to verify what exactly the industry name of that record. So based on that industry name, I want to assign the annual revenue also with the help of my trigger. Once the annual revenue value has been assigned, then I would like to insert the record into my object. So in this case, what happened? Whenever we are trying to be inserting the record, before insertion and the before updation, I would like to assign that annual revenue value. So I want to find my trigger on two events, before insert and before updation. Before insert and before update. Whenever you got any requirement in your real-time implementation also to create the trigger, first of all, do the analysis. What they have given, what they're expecting. Then first of all, we have to identify on what object we need to create the trigger and on what events we need to find the triggers. If these are correct, then we can able to use implement the respective business logic inside that.
Firoz, in the real time, how the user is going to give the scenario to us?
Sorry?
In the real time, like how you have given like to auto populate this value. In the real time also, user is going to give the requirement as it is, or he's giving.
He will be giving like as the business requirements are separate because he won't give this much of clarity information to you. He will be giving some one line of information. Then remaining we have to analyze. If you need some more information, we need to collect it from the client as well. I will give you some use cases also. I will give you some use cases also.
Okay, fine.
Like for example, Let me show you one small requirement. For example, they have given a small requirement to us. They're giving the requirement like this. They have given a requirement like this here. This is one of the business requirement. A PS object should be triggered for any new lead created with the PS lead capture, or if a PS is searching for a customer and then there is no PS record already exists, a PS object should be created. Now, so here we have a requirement, the lead object and the prospect object. Whenever a lead record has been getting created successfully, immediately I would like to create a prospect record. That means I would like to copy the record from lead to prospect. We need to create that. So now here in this case, so they have given the requirement like this, but what needs to be done? Do we need to implement through trigger or validations or workflow or what? We need to analyze that here. Sometimes they will be giving clearly over here, we need to use a trigger. Sometimes the client will be giving that this is what we need to implement through triggers for the client. Now, so in this case, they are indicating that a PS object should be triggered, okay, for any new lead record created. Whenever a new lead record has been created, then automatically a prospect record has to be get created with the PS lead capture, or if a PS is searching for a customer and there is no PS record already exists. That means what? Upon creating the lead record, so with the details, if there is no prospect is available, then we need to create a prospect record inside that prospect object. Now, they have given that information. If the PS record already existing, if no PS record is already existing, then a prospect record should be get created inside this. Now, they're indicating some information has to be get copied over here. Now, by default, PS object should be assigned to the PS searching for the lead or the lead capture. That means whatever the prospect record you have created, that should be linked with that lead record automatically. So they have indicated that it has to be assigned. The requirement will they're indicating like as a business process because they're indicating like as a business steps. But we need to analyze that what needs to be done based on the application requirement. I will show you, I will give you this information also. They're giving some fields also to be get enabled, some read-only fields, some read-write fields, how to implement, how to synchronize. I will show you, I will be explaining this information as well here. During the project explanation sessions, I will be giving this information also to you. How the requirement documents will be. I will share some POC documents also to you so that you can able to go through that.
Okay, thank you.
So in this case, so now my requirement is I would like to create that. So now create a trigger on the lead object which auto populates the annual revenue value based on the industry name as below. So based on this industry, I want to assign that annual revenue automatically would need to populate. Then how can we do this? Now let me explain practically this. Now I'm creating a trigger on the lead object which has to be get fired on before insert and before update. In both the cases, it has to be get fired. Now let's see how can we create this trigger. I'm creating a trigger. I'm indicating lead trigger. Which object you are creating the trigger on the lead object. So select the object name as, I'm selecting the lead object. This is the object on which I'm creating the trigger. Click on submit. Now my trigger has been getting prepared. Initially, it is having only the event before insert. Now I'm adding before update also. But trigger has to be get fired on these two events. Before insert also it has to fire, before update also it has to fire. So these are the two events on which my trigger has to be get fired. Now, this is the first step. My trigger is ready with the required events. Then as a step 2, we have to write the trigger context. Look at trigger context. Like if trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update. Okay. Trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update. That means if the trigger, nothing but if the record has been either before insert or before update. In both the cases, please execute this business logic. Now, in this case, whatever the records you are trying to insert during the insertion, during the updation, latest information is available where latest information is available inside a context variable called as trigger.new context variable. The latest information is available inside that trigger.new context variable. So trigger.new is what? A list collection. So I'm collecting those records. Trigger.new is a list collection. So now this list is of what type? What? List of lead. Why? Because the trigger is on lead object. So it will be having the list of lead records. I'm collecting each and every lead record. Each and every lead record from that collection. So now each and every lead record from the collection I'm collecting. Now I would like to verify that whether this lead record industry is what. So what is the industry of this lead record? Here I want to verify. If lead record dot industry, if the industry value is equals to banking, if the industry value is equals to banking, then we can able to examine. Here we can able to use that normal else if condition, or we can use switch statement also. It depends upon your requirement. Let me use that switch statement. I'm using this. Switch on lead record dot industry. Switch on lead record dot industry. That means here I'm collecting that lead record industry value. If the industry value is equals to some banking, when banking. If the lead records is equals to banking, then I will let you assign LD record dot annual revenue. What is the annual revenue? Some 90 lakhs. I'm assigning this 90 lakhs. Now I'm indicating that switch on lead record dot industry. I'm collecting the lead record industry value. I'm comparing this industry value. If it is banking, then I want to assign the annual revenue value as some 90 lakhs. Next, when finance, then lead record dot annual revenue. So what is the finance annual revenue value? I'm indicating 76 lakhs. When insurance, I'm indicating lead record dot annual revenue. What is the annual revenue for insurance? 45 lakhs. When manufacturing, I would like to assign lead records annual revenue value 84 lakhs. When consulting, if it is a consulting, then what will be the annual revenue? When consulting, annual revenue 32 lakhs. When education, annual revenue value should be 74 lakhs. When energy, annual revenue value should be some 94 lakhs. So these are the annual revenue values which I would like to assign. These are the annual revenue values which I would like to assign. I'm indicating this. Now here I'm indicating this. Whenever I'm going to be creating a new lead record or whenever I'm updating an existing lead record, I would like to collect those lead records. Whatever the records that we are creating, whatever the records we're updating, the latest information of the records will be storing inside the trigger.new. So trigger.new is what? It is a list collection which contains a collection of lead records which you are trying to be inserting newly or which you are trying to be updating newly. So at that time, so now it will be collecting all the lead records and holding inside the trigger.new context variable. From there, I'm collecting each and every lead record by using this enhanced for loop, and then I'm collecting that lead record industry. If the lead record industry value is equals to banking, then I'm assigning this annual revenue value. If the lead records annual revenue is equals to finance, I'm assigning this annual revenue value. If it is equals to insurance, I'm assigning this value. So depends upon the application requirement given by the client, we need to assign this respective values inside. Now, so this is how we are going to be assigning the values to auto-populate the values inside the lead record. But instead of entering the values manually by our own, we can able to auto-populate some field values also. Depends upon our business rules that can be implemented with the help of reconciliation. That facility is available. This is the way we can able to implement this functionality. Now let me test this functionality. Let's go to that. So now here I'm going to be changing this lead record because this trigger will be firing not only at the time of initiation, at the time of updation also. I'm changing this industry value to like as some consulting. Click on save. Whenever I'm updating this lead record, based on this industry, it will collect that respective annual revenue value. That value will be getting populated over. Once you click on save, it is going to be automatically populating this value that it will lax. Suppose I'm changing it to some finance. Once you click on save, it is assigning that value as 76 lakhs. Whenever I'm changing it to some energy, once you click on save, it is assigning the value as 94 lakhs. If I'm changing this annual revenue value to some banking, it will be assigning the annual revenue value as 90 lakhs. If I'm changing this one to education, it is going to be assigning the annual revenue value as 74 lakhs. Like that here, depends upon the industry name which you have selected. Based on the industry, it is going to be assigning the respective annual revenue value also. Automatically, it is populating that annual revenue value. This is the way we can able to auto-populate the values inside your records through with the help of difference.
Sir, without clicking save button, can we auto-populate?
No, that is not possible because whenever once you click on save button, then only record will be going to that respective trigger, then the trigger will be assigning that values. Okay.
In formula fields also same.
No.
Right?
No, formula fields also will be same because upon saving the record only it will be populating that. But when you go to the formula field, formula is a read-only field. And this particular industry, we can't apply any formula fields.
Okay.
For this annual revenue, we can't use any formula field because formula fields are always read-only field. But this is the standard field given by Salesforce, so that we can't apply it.
No. Formula fields also after clicking on saving button only will
right. Everything will be during the click on save button only.
Here we don't have listeners like upon click selecting the drop, selecting option from pick list, something needs to be happen like that. We don't have.
No. At that time, if you want to make that value has to be get assigned, at that time we have to go with that dependent pick list. That is also pick list. This is also pick list we have to use. Okay, we have to use that field dependency concept at that time.
Okay.
But the values should be get hard coded on this.
Okay. I mean, based on pick list item, selected item, I need to modify some fields in this UI. So in that case, what can be done?
We can go with the trigger. Based on this pick list value, if you want to modify any other field values, then you can use the trigger. Because here I'm assigning that annual revenue value. Not only annual revenue, you can able to modify some more field values also inside this. Any other field values also, phone value, email, rating, anything we can.
Sir, we can use dependent pick list here, right?
We can use dependent pick list, but we have to create the pick list separately. Another pick list we have to create.
Yes.
Because between the pick list and the text box, we can't apply the field dependency. Field dependency can be applicable between the fields like pick list fields, multi-select pick list, and the checkbox. These are the three types of fields which can support that field dependency.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, without a trigger, we can't modify other fields.
Workflow we can go. That will be firing after insertion, after updation. Workflow will do that.
No, before only. I mean, if we modify
is
that
not
one,
possible.
if the
That's
user
not
wants.
possible. That is not possible. Upon click on the save only, it will be doing that. There is no other alternative mechanism.
Sir, I want to update multiple.
Sorry?
I want to update multiple fields.
So you can update. That's what I told, right? So here I'm assigning the value for only for annual revenue. If you want to assign some different field values, then you can do that. Whatever the other field values you would like to design, you can change these values also, whatever you want. Depends upon your requirement. Not only one field, we can update the multiple fields also. That possibility is there. Now let me place this code inside. In this case, let me show you one small entry point of question in this case. Now, as of now, we have created a lead trigger on my lead object. So whenever I'm going to be creating the lead record or whenever I'm updating the lead record, depends upon the industry which has selected, it is going to be assigning the annual revenue. Now, for example, if this annual revenue field is a mandatory, then I would like to make this field mandatory through with the help of a validation tool. I would like to make this field mandatory through a validation tool. Now, I'm creating a validation tool on this annual revenue field to make it as a mandatory. Lead annual revenue is. I'm creating a validation tool on my lead object. Okay, I'm creating a validation tool on my lead object here to make the annual revenue field required. Now, if is blank off or is null, okay, this is a number field, right? So I'm using this. If is null of annual revenue, that means if the annual revenue field value is null, then I would like to show some error message. Now the syntax is correct, no syntactical errors found. I want to show the error message. Please enter the annual revenue value. I want to show this error message at the field level. At the annual revenue field level, I'm going to be showing this error message. So I'm creating a validation tool. Generally, validation tool will fire when validation tools are always firing before insert and before update. But along with that, on my object card, okay, before insert, before update, but trigger also firing over here. Trigger is also there, validation tool is also there. Then which will fire first, which will fire next? So this is a common question in every interview. So I have a field annual revenue. So now for this annual revenue field, we are having the trigger is also there, and then we are having that validation tool is also available. So now from this two, which will be getting fired first, which will be getting fired next. I want to cross check that. Now, let's see this. Now click on this save button. Now the validation rule has been getting created. Validation rules are always firing on before insert and before update. That already you know that. So already we know that. So already we have discussed that validation rules are always firing before insert and before update. So that means on the annual revenue field, I have a validation rule. For the annual revenue field, I'm assigning the value also through my trigger. Then which will fire first, which will fire next? What is the order here? This is a common question in every interview. Now, whenever on a field, if you're having both validation rule and the trigger, then always the trigger will be firing first. Trigger will be firing first. So trigger will fire first, and which is going to be assigning the value for that annual revenue field. Which is going to be assigning the annual revenue field, then your validation rules will be getting executed. Now, let me show you practically in this case. Let me create a new record. Validation rule testing. Company is some IP. I'm indicating that. Industry, I'm indicating like as finance. I haven't entered any annual revenue value. Simply, I'm saving the record. Once you click on save, will validation rule will fire first or trigger will fire first? Now let's see. Once you click on the save button, record has been accepted as it is. That means what? Trigger has been fired first. It has assigned the value. Then validation rule has been verified. Now annual revenue is not empty. It is having some value. So it has been passed. So record has been accepted. So always validation rules will be executing next, and then trigger will be executing first. This is the order of execution following by sales rules.
Sir, for any events, trigger will fire first.
Always before triggers will be firing first. For any event,
Actually,
always before triggers will be firing first.
yesterday I have created one trigger after undelete on my position object. In that position object, I have one validation rule that last date to apply should not be past date and should not be today. So actually, I deleted one position record. I'm trying to undelete the record from recycle bin, and I'm unable to undelete the record.
Wait, what is the conditions over there? Can you share me that piece of code what you have written in the trigger so that I will cross check that? I will let you know. What is the problem?
Okay. Trigger is after undelete event.
Then I need that code part over here. Based on that code only, then I can verify that. What is the problem in that case? Because if I have not written that proper valid conditions also, then it will be code file. So in this case, whenever we are going to be having the trigger and the validation rule on a field, always before triggers will be executing first. That is the order of execution followed by sales rules. Now, because when moving forward as part of these triggers, we are going to be discussing about that order of execution. There we'll see in which order this will be automated processes will be getting executed. Because we have so many automated processes, like as we're having triggers, validations, formulas, roll-up summary, and then we are having the like a sharing rules, assignment rules, workflows, process builders. So many things are available. In which order these will be getting executed, we should be aware of. So at that time, we are going to be discussing about that order of execution as well. When coming to that order of execution, here we'll be having a specific order which is following by sales rules. So this is the order of execution following by sales rules. First of all, always it is going to be executing the before triggers first. Once the before triggers have been getting executed, then it is executing the system validation rules, and then it is executing your custom validation rules which you have created by your own. So that here always the before triggers will be getting executing first, not the validation rules. Validation rules are always executing after before triggers. Before trigger will execute first, then validation rules are executing. After that, remaining processes like as or duplicate rules, and then after triggers executing assignment rules, auto response, workflows, and then you will be having before update triggers, and then process builders, escalations, entitlements, all these things, roll up summaries, everything. some order is available. At the end of this trigger concept, we'll see the trigger order of executions as well.
Sir, here it is showing before trigger first and in middle validation rules and then after trigger. I have actually written after trigger, after undelete.
Okay, then share me that code. That's what I told you.
Okay.
Now let's see. Now let me get the node find over here. If the record contains both validation rule and before trigger and the same field, then it will find the before trigger first and then it will find the validation and then it will find the validation. So this is the order of execution which is following by Salesforce. Next one. Now let's see some more use cases. One more use case. Create a trigger on the account object to prevent the deletion of an active account record. Create a trigger on the account object to prevent the deletion of an active account record. That means what? Whenever you are trying to removing an account record from that object, I want to verify what is the active status of this account record. Whether this active status is equals to yes, because when you go to that account record, it is having that active status field. Nothing but active field is available. There is a field called as active, which is having the two values yes or no. Suppose if it is yes, that means if the customer is an active customer, I don't want to allow the user to remove this record. If the customer is an active customer, if the account record is an active status equals to yes, then I don't want to allow the user to remove this record from my object. Because active customers records are very, very important for me. Those are my assets. So I don't want to allow the users to remove these records. These records should be there as it is inside my object. So even though if anybody tries to remove my record, I don't want to allow, then how can we prevent the deletion of these active records from my object? So this is my requirement over. Now, I want to prevent the deletion of an active account record from the object. Then how can we do this one? And then what is that object name on which we need to prepare that? And then what is that event? On what object we need to create the trigger? Now,
Account object.
right. So the trigger should be on account object. What is the event now? So on what event we can create that? Before delete or after delete?
Before delete.
Before delete. Now, why? Because is if you are firing the trigger after delete, by that time record is already deleted, so nothing will be there at that time. So always we need to fire the trigger on before delete. That means before deletion of the record, I want to verify whether this account record's active status is equals to yes or not. If it is yes, then I don't want to allow the user to remove the record from my object. I want to show some error message, boss, you are not having the proper authorization to remove the active records from my object. Now, so for that reason here, I would like to prepare a trigger to prevent the deletion of active account records from my object. Let me create the trigger right now. I'm creating a trigger on my lead object, on my account object right now. Already, do we have any trigger on my account object? Yes, already we have a trigger on my account object. Can I write that this code also inside the same trigger? Yes. In the same trigger, we can write the multiple events code also. The facility is available. Let me open that trigger. Click on open triggers. This is the trigger is available here. Account trigger. Yesterday we have created this trigger. Now, so now this piece of code is firing on before insert and before update. Now, what is my requirement? I would like to fire some code when before delete, so that I'm adding that event before delete. Because that already told you one trigger can be get fired on multiple events also. So I'm firing this trigger on before insert and before update. During these events, whatever the business logic you want to execute, the business logic I have written over. But now I would like to find the trigger on before delete event also. That means when your user tries to delete any one of my account record, I want to verify. So in this case here, what needs to be done? I need to verify that. I would like to execute some business logic. So that business logic I'm writing in a separate context. So that's what I'm implementing that context with. If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is a delete. That means here whenever my trigger has been fired because of a before delete event, then whatever the business logic you want to execute, I'm writing the business logic inside this block. In this block, I'm writing this business logic. That means please execute this piece of business logic during that before delete event. Now, what needs to be done in this case? Now, I would like to verify. Let me verify. What needs to be done? I need to collect the records which you are trying to delete. Whatever the records you are trying to delete, those records are available in which context variable? If you know the trigger context variable, then the functionality will be very, very simple, nothing else.
Trigger.old.
Now, in this case, whatever the records you are trying to delete, those records will be available inside the trigger.old. Old means what? Existing records I'm deleting. I'm not updating anything. I'm not inserting anything. I'm going to be deleting that record. What records? Existing records. So that whatever the records you are trying to delete, those records will be available inside the trigger.old context variable. Okay. So now here trigger.old is a list collection. You know that. Trigger.old is a list collection. So I'm using this for loop. I would like to verify. We can use trigger.old map also because record is existing one, so that it will be having the record ID already. So we can use that trigger.old map also, depends upon your requirement. Now, what is this record? Account record. Trigger.old is what? A list collection, list of what? Account. Why? The trigger is an account object. So now here I would like to correct. In the trigger.old, whatever the records you are trying to delete, those records will be available inside the trigger.old context variable. From that one, I'm collecting each and every account record. I'm verifying this. I'm verifying this account record. If account dot active status, if the active status is equals to yes, that means if the account record is active, then I want to show the error message. SEC dot add error. Indicating you are not authorized to delete an active account. I want to show the message to that particular user because you are not authorized to delete an active account record. Because here there is an active customer record, so which is very, very important because he is utilizing our product. So in future we need to give our service to the customer. So please don't delete the record from this object. So make this record as it is inside my object. You don't have the rights to delete that active records. So I want to show the error message to that user. You are not authorized to delete an active account record from that. So in this case, whenever if you want to prevent the deletion of the records also, then we can go with that triggers. Through triggers, we can able to do the validations over here. Based on that validation, we can able to show some error message to the user that you don't have the rights to delete an active account record from my object. Now, so let me test this trigger right now. For example, assume that I'm having an account record. So this is my account record that we have. Now this account record is active or not? This is not active. Okay. Now it is not active record because active status value is empty simply. Now, when you click on this delete button, trigger account to test, this is the record. When you click on this delete button, now the record will be deleted successfully. Record has been removed successfully. Record has been removed. For example, I'm opening this test account record. The record is having some values. Now, this record is an active record, nothing but active status is equals to yes. Now I'm trying to be deleting this record. Click on delete button, click on. Now it is showing that error message to you. Now validation errors. Now there were some custom validations which you have prepared, that is nothing but triggers. It is indicating that you are not authorized to delete an active account record from your object. Whatever the record that we're trying to delete, that record is an active account record, so we can't remove these records from this object. Now, so now here in this case, whenever we are trying to be deleting this account record, this is the error message which will be throwing by the Salesforce to you over here because of the trigger. Suppose if you're deleting some bulk records, okay, if you're deleting some bulk records, okay, through by using this delete statements, then at that time your transaction will be getting rolled back because here 20 records were deleted. From those 20 records, 19 records are having active status equals to no. One record is having active status equals to yes. At that time, it will show this error message and it is going to be so cancelling the transaction over there. Because even though if one record operation has been failed, the whole transaction will be getting failed. Next, second scenario. Suppose if you are using the database that delete operation, database that deletes method to delete those records. At that time here, so whatever the records has been deleted, those records will be gone. The remaining record, nothing but this record will not be allows you to delete. So now this error information we can store inside the delete result class. In the database, the delete result class, we can track this error information. So now this is the record which is unable to delete because of this error message. We can track this information also. Suppose if you are using a data loader to delete this record, so the failed records information, nothing but this record is unable to delete. Now this error information we can see in the error log file. Salesforce is generating two files as part of data loader, success file, error file. Now this is the error file. That means this record is unable to delete because here now it is having the active status yes. So now this record information will be tracking inside that error file. In that error file, you can able to see where the record is unable to delete. So this is the way we can able to track this. Let me place this code. This is how we can able to write the multiple events code within a single trigger also, so that we can able to segregate the code blocks based on the trigger context. Based on the trigger context, we can able to segregate the code blocks also. Next, let me give some assignments. The first assignment. The first assignment is create a trigger on the position object to make sure the minimum pay field and contact number fields are required. To make that minimum pay field value and the contact number field values are mandatory. This is the first requirement. This is the first use case. Now, the second one. Create a trigger on the lead object to make sure the lead address should be mandatory. Mandatory. That means all the 5 fields are mandatory. Like street field, city field, state, postal code, and the country. And country. All the 5 fields I would like to make it as mandatory. This is the second requirement. The third one. Create a trigger on the case object to make sure each case record should be associated with an account and contact. Now, whenever I'm creating that case record inside my case object, for example, I'm creating a new case record. Click on new case. Upon creating the case record, we can select to which account this case record to be associated, to which contact the case to be associated. But these are optionals. But now I want to make these two are mandatory. That means compulsorily every case record should be associated with an account and a contact. That is my requirement. This is the third use case. Next, the fourth one. Create a trigger on the contact object to make sure each contact record should be associated with an account. Each contact record should be associated with an account. Generally, upon creating the contact record, selecting the account is not mandatory. Why? Because is between account and contact we have lookup association. As part of lookup association, lookup field is always optional. That is not mandatory. But now I want to make it as mandatory. Like for example, when you try to create that contact record, selecting the account is optional. Because selecting this account is optional. This is the optional. But now I want to make it as mandatory through triggers. Now, so for that reason here I have given one assignment to now make sure that every contact record should be associated with an account. These are the 4 assignments. Now, the next one. Let's see some more practical use cases. Now, the next one. So let's take one small use case. Let me explain that functionality first, then I will show you the practical implementation part. For example, assume that I'm having a hiring manager object. I'm having this hiring manager object. So this is the hiring manager object. Inside this, I'm creating some records. Inside this hiring manager object, I'm creating this records. So I'm creating the hiring manager record right now inside my object. Like with the name, some Ramesh Kumar. Contact number, some value, I have given that. Email ID, some Ramesh@gmail.com. Location, some Hyderabad. So one hiring manager record I have created successfully. I have created one hiring manager record with the name Ramesh Kumar. I'm cloning this one. That means I'm creating one more. Click on save. Again, record has been accepted. One more record with the same details. Click on clone. Click on save. One more record has been accepted. Click on clone. Click on save. That means how many records? 4 records. Now, when you observe this one, 4 records has been accepted with the same details. 4 records are created with the same name, with the same contact number, location, same contact number, same email. Now, my requirement is I don't want to allow this kind of duplicate records. I want to maintain the uniqueness of the records based on, I would like to maintain the uniqueness of the records based on, okay, based on this particular, the name and based on this contact number. Based on the name and the contact number, I want to maintain the uniqueness. That means with the same name and the same contact number, we should not have 2 records inside my object. With the same name and with the same contact number, we should not have 2 records inside my object. I want to maintain the duplication elimination. I want to maintain the uniqueness of the records with this particular 2 fields. Based on the name and the contact number. These 2 I would like to take consideration. These 2 I would like to take consideration to eliminate the duplicate records inside my object. Whenever the user is trying to be creating the record, I want to verify with this name, with this contact number, a record is exist or not. If yes, don't allow this record. I want to show some message, boss, duplicate record found with the same name, with the same contact number, so we can't allow this record. So like that, I want to implement the deduplication process in place. How can we do that? How can we implement the deduplication process? Now let's see practically in this case.
Because while we are creating an object at that time, if we do that, allow duplicates if we uncheck, so system will not allow, na?
But in this case, on the name field, we can't allow that unique field, right?
Yeah. But my question is, suppose if we have unchecked that allow duplicates, and there is a trigger what we are writing the code now. So which is going to execute first?
Trigger. Before trigger will execute first always.
Okay.
Okay. Because if I'm selecting the checkbox like as allow, that means okay, unique checkbox, then that will be firing. It is preparing one validation. That will be firing when before, first of all, before trigger, then only system validation will be executed.
Okay.
And the 2 on our custom fields, you can enable that unique checkbox. But in this particular standard field, name is a standard field. On this one, we can't apply any name unique checkbox. So there is no such possibility. So at that time, as a better best practice, we can go with that just to achieve this functionality. Now, let's take that use case. Create a trigger on the hiring manager object to maintain the uniqueness of the records based on the hiring manager name and contact number combination. Contact number combination. Based on the combination of these two field values, I would like to maintain the uniqueness. Then, how can we do this implementation? Now let's see practically this. So now I would like to find my trigger. I would like to create a trigger on my hiring manager object. Object name is hiring. What is the event name? The event name should be before insert and the before update. Before inserting the record also and before updating the record also, I would like to validate that information. Why? Because is if I'm not adding that before update, then in this case, what will happen? After creating the record, the user can modify the record and he can change the values to same as the old one. So at that time, it will be duplicate again. So I don't want to allow those kind of functionalities also to that user. So I want to maintain the uniqueness of the record. Not only at the time of insertion, at the time of updation also, I want to cross-check that. How can we do this one? Now let's see practically in this case. So let me create that trigger. I'm creating a trigger on my hiring manager object. I'm giving the name as hiring manager trigger, which will be firing on hiring manager object. So I'm selecting the object name as hiring manager. I'm creating this trigger on my hiring manager object. I would like to fire on before insert and then before update. I want to do the same validation over. I want to do the same validation. So for that, before insert also I want to cross check the duplications. Before update also I want to cross check the duplication. So for that reason here I am going to be writing this condition. If trigger dot is before and trigger dot is insert or trigger dot is update. If it is a before insert or before update. So before insert or before. That means whenever the user might be creating a new record inside that object or whenever he is modifying that existing record also. In both the cases, I will like to cross check that the duplications of those records. I want to verify. Now, whatever the records you are trying to insert or whatever the records you are trying to update, all those records will be available inside the trigger dot. Trigger dot new is about, it's a listed collection which contains a collection of records of hiring manager. Because this object trigger is on hiring manager, so it contains a collection of records of hiring. So I'm iterating this hiring. HR. So trigger dot new is a listed collection which contains a collection of hiring manager records which you are trying to insert, which you are trying to update. So I'm collecting each and every hiring manager record. I'm storing inside the variable so HR record. Now I would like to verify that. Okay, I would like to verify this one based on this HR record. In this HR record, I'm having the name value. We are having contact number, email ID, location. 4 fields are available. So now what I want to do, I want to cross check with this HR record name. Suppose if you want to get the HR record name, you can use HR record dot name. If you want to get the HR record contact number, we can specify HR record contact number. Based on this contact number, based on this name, how many records are available, I would like to find. I want the records count. How many records are available? I want to get the count. For that reason, here I am going to be using an SOQL code because we need to interact with the database. Because in the database only we have all the hiring manager records. So I need to verify by connecting to the database. For that one, I am using. Then what we can do, I'm using this count function. Okay, count function because I don't want those records. I want just the count. With this name, with this contact number, how many number of records are available? I want that count. Already we have discussed this count function during our SQL queries concept. I would like to use the count function. Through this count function, I would like to verify how many number of records are available with this name and with this contact number. Now from hiring manager object. Hiring manager. So I would like to fetch those records count from hiring manager where name equals to HR record dot name and contact number. Contact number equals to HR record dot. So whatever the name and whatever the contact number is available, based on that I am going to be collecting how many number of hiring manager records are available. It is returning the result in the form of an integer records count. Integer records count. I am going to be verifying this condition. So I am verifying these conditions. That means what? I am preparing an SQL query. Already we have discussed about the count function during SQL queries, how to fetch the count of the records inside your object. Now, I showed you both the scenarios. This is the static. If it is a dynamic, we have to use count query method. Already we have discussed. Now, the count query method also we have discussed during the SQL queries concept. Now I am going to be getting the count of the records here. How many number of records are available in hiring manager object? I don't want all the records count. I want only those records count whose name is equals to this current hiring manager record name and whose contact number is equals to the hiring manager's contact record. Whatever the record that I'm creating right now with this name, with this contact number, how many number of records are available? Now I would like to cross check this. Once the count has been getting identified, then I would like to verify. If the records count is greater than or equals to greater than 0. Greater than 0 means what? It may be 1 also. That means some record is there. Then I want to show the message. Where in the HR record add error, I want to show the message. I'm indicating duplicate record found with the same detail. So record cannot be accepted. Record cannot be accepted. So this is the message I would like to show. Now here in this case, now whenever we are going to be inserting the new record, before insertion and the before updation, I would like to verify that. I'm going to be interacting with the database. I would like to verify with this hiring manager records name and the contact number, how many number of records are available. I'm collecting the count. So once the count has been getting collected, then I'm verifying that. So now with this, nothing but with this name and the contact number, how many records are there? If the records count is greater than 0, that means some 1. That means one record is there already. That means now there is a second one. That means duplicate. So I don't want to accept that record. So I'm displaying the message duplicate record found with the same details. So record cannot be accepted. I want to show this error message to the user on the record itself. This is how we are going to be implementing. Not only implementing that, some basic validations, we can implement some complex validations also by interacting with the database. From now onwards, the examples are interacting with the databases only by using DML statements, SQL queries, everything we'll see inside that, the triggers implementation. Slowly, we are making the things complex.
Sir,
Now let's see how can we validate this information inside this. Let me test this one first. Now, I would like to create this record, right? I'm creating a new record with the same details. Now, for example, I'm creating the record with the name Ramesh Kumar. I'm indicating the contact number. Let me get the same contact number over here. The same contact number. Location value some Bangalore. Email ID Ramesh@some gmail.com. Ramesh@some gmail.com. Once you click on the save button, now it is indicating that Duplicate record found with the same details, so record cannot be accepted. Why? Because here already with this name, with this contact number, some records are available. So this is the duplicate one. So I don't want to accept this record. For example, I'm changing this contact number right now. I'm indicating some value, some different contact number. With this combination, we don't have the record. Of course, with the name Ramesh Kumar, we have the record, but the contact number is different. So now once you click on save, now this record will be acceptable as it is. So that here in this case, whenever we are going to be creating the records, not only implementing the basic validations, we can do some complex validations also, because deduplication processes also we can implement by connecting to the database objects also by using the help of SQL queries. Through these SQL queries, we can able to fetch the data from the object. Based on that, we can able to eliminate the duplicate information also, so that we can maintain the quality of the data inside your object. We can maintain the accuracy of the data also inside your object. This is how we are going to be implementing the deduplication processes inside the Salesforce instance through the help of settings.
Sir, here if I am inserting 1000 records, then 1000 times this count query will fire, right?
Right, because that's what here I have given some basic information here. In the next one, we will see how to eliminate these SQL queries, DMLs, everything inside the funnel. Okay, how to eliminate the SQL queries and then DML statements inside the for loop. We'll see practically in that one. The next concepts I will show you. How to write the basic implementations, how to use some complex implementations where we can follow all the best practices as well. Okay. So now try these examples today, and along with these assignments, tomorrow I will show you few more practical use cases. In this tomorrow session, we'll see some more complex requirements. We'll take up that and then we'll implement those functionalities. Along with that, I would like to use the feature called as custom settings. Custom settings. Tomorrow we'll see the concept of custom settings also. How can we use the custom settings? What type of custom settings are available inside your Salesforce instance? What is the difference between each and every type of custom setting? How to create the custom settings in Salesforce? What will happen upon creating the custom setting? What is the difference between custom object and custom setting? And then how can we fetch the data from the custom settings without using any SQL queries? We'll see practically in tomorrow's session. It's a 100% common question in every interview. What exactly the difference between custom object and custom setting? We'll see how can we implement these custom settings. We'll see practically here. Sorry?
Once show me the assignments given by you.
These are the assignments. Okay. So try these assignments today. So tomorrow we'll see some more practical use cases on this triggers.
Excuse me, Firoz.
Yes.
I asked you a question regarding batch programming, and I just
I got your email. I will got your email. Then I will check it out today. Because since last 2 days I was busy, so that I was unable to check that. Today I will check it out and I will send back.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.